In the heart of Ikoyi, Lagos, there stood a mansion so grand and mysterious that it had become the subject of gossip in the entire neighborhood. Built with white marble and surrounded by tall iron gates, the house belonged to Chief Oba Adekunle, one of the richest men in Nigeria. To the outside world, Chief Adekunle was a model of success, a generous philanthropist, a respected businessman, a man of influence whose name alone could make governors pick up their phones. People envied his wealth and admired his power, but those who worked closely with him whispered about his strange ways. The older staff who had served him for decades spoke about the east wing of the mansion, a place so forbidden that even the cleaners refused to sweep near it. And above all, there was one thing everyone knew: the forbidden room. Adesewa, his only daughter, had grown up hearing the same stern warning over and over. Adesewa, her father would say in his deep, commanding voice, "There's a room in this house you must never enter. That door is not for you, not for anyone. Do you understand me?" "Yes, Daddy," she would reply, even though her young mind couldn't understand why her father spoke with such intensity about a simple door. When she was younger, she obeyed without question. But as she grew older, curiosity began to gnaw at her like a persistent mouse. Now 26 years old, Adesewa had returned home from her master's degree abroad. She was strikingly beautiful, with a graceful presence that made heads turn whenever she entered a room. But behind her calm demeanor was a restless soul. The mansion, though grand, felt cold and suffocating to her. And her father, though loving, was controlling to the point of obsession. "Daddy, why can't I ever walk down the east wing?" she asked one evening over dinner. Chief Adekunle's fork froze mid-air. His face darkened, and his eyes flashed in a way that made even the housemaids flinch. "Adesewa, I've warned you before," he said, his voice calm but heavy with unspoken threat. "Never speak of that place again. Forget it exists. That's an order." The silence that followed was deafening. Adesewa tried to bury her curiosity, but she couldn't. She started noticing strange things around the house. Every year, on the same date, her father would lock himself in the forbidden room for hours. Days before that, strange men in red wrappers would visit the mansion carrying calabashes and charms. One night, she overheard a conversation between her father and one of these men. "You know the covenant, Chief," the man said, his voice deep and eerie. "No other soul must ever open that door. The spirits have warned. If another person enters that room, your wealth will turn to dust, and madness will consume you." "I know," her father replied. "That's why I've kept it locked for years. No one must ever find out." Adesewa's stomach churned. What secret was her father hiding? In the neighborhood, rumors about the mansion began to spread like wildfire. "Have you heard?" Madame Bose, the local tailor, whispered to her friend. "They say that man is not as clean as he looks. Where does all his money come from? People disappear around him, and no one dares ask questions." "Shoo," her friend replied. "Do you want to get into trouble? That man's power is not ordinary." Back in the mansion, Adesewa's curiosity grew into obsession. She asked Mama Kemi, the housekeeper who had worked there since Adesewa was a child. "Mama Kemi, please, what's in that room?" The old woman's eyes widened in horror. "Ha, Adesewa, don't ever speak of that place. Your father loves you, my child. Don't let your curiosity destroy you." But that warning only fueled Adesewa's determination. One fateful evening, she watched from the balcony as her father prepared to leave for an urgent business trip to Abuja. "Make sure no one enters my study while I'm gone," he ordered the guards. Adesewa knew this was her chance. She bribed Kunle, one of the young guards, with 200,000 naira. "All I need is 5 minutes with the key," she whispered. "You'll never get into trouble." Kunle hesitated. "Madam, this is dangerous. If your father finds out—" "He won't, I swear." That night, she crept into her father's study. Her heart pounded as she retrieved the golden box where he kept the key. She quickly made a duplicate and placed the original back carefully. For days, she waited for the perfect moment. Finally, when the house was quiet, Adesewa dressed in black and tiptoed down the east wing. The air grew colder with each step. She could almost hear faint whispers echoing around her. She reached the door. Her hands trembled as she inserted the key. Click. The lock turned. The door creaked open, releasing a foul stench that made her gag. Inside, the room was dimly lit with red candles arranged in a circle. Strange symbols covered the walls. On the floor knelt over 30 young girls, their eyes wide open but lifeless. Each of them carried a calabash on her head. Adesewa's heart stopped. At the far end of the room stood a massive wooden idol with sharp teeth and glowing red eyes. Piles of cash, gold, and jewelry were stacked around it. Her father had been using these girls for rituals. Suddenly, the girls began to move. Slowly, they turned their heads towards Adesewa. "He called us. He called us. He called us," they chanted in haunting voices. Adesewa screamed and stumbled backwards. At that exact moment in Abuja, Chief Adekunle was attending a meeting when he felt a sharp pain in his head. "You broke the covenant. You broke the covenant," voices screamed in his ears. He clutched his head and began to laugh hysterically. "Leave me alone. Leave me alone," he shouted, tearing at his clothes. The meeting hall erupted in chaos as the billionaire ran out barefoot, screaming like a madman. Back in Ikoyi, the mansion shook violently. The idol's mouth opened, and a deep voice boomed, "You have broken the seal." Adesewa fled the room, slamming the door behind her. News of Chief Adekunle's madness spread across Lagos like wildfire. "The billionaire is mad," people whispered in shock. He was seen running naked on 3rd Mainland Bridge, shouting at invisible beings. His companies collapsed overnight. His associates abandoned him. Even his extended family fled in shame. Adesewa, filled with sorrow and guilt, sold the mansion and used part of the money to locate the families of the girls her father had destroyed. She donated the rest to orphanages and vowed never to let greed and evil rule her life. "No matter how long you hide evil, one day it will find you out. And when it does, the price will be greater than you ever imagined."